Greetings, welcome to In-Depth. I'm Dike Rostant. Now, as the voice of the services sector, the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries continues to work towards improving the capacity of the local services-based industry. Now, CEO Vashti Guyadeen, she joins us now for an in-depth look at some of their latest efforts. Welcome, Vashti. Thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Thank you for having me. A pleasure to be here.
And I see you all are doing great things, so I want to get into it. But let's start off with an overview of TTCSI. Thank you.
Sure. So to put TTCSI in context, I have to look at take you regionally. Back in 2004, CARICOM was in the process of negotiating the economic partnership agreement with the European Union. So to negotiate, you need a vehicle. On the manufacturers' side, there was Manufacturers Association across CARICOM, but there was not a single vehicle to negotiate on behalf of the services sector. So hence the reason why the heads of government of CARICOM took the decision to establish coalition of services industries throughout the region. So TTCSI was established on October 11th, actually, of 2006, which means we just celebrated our sweet 16th birthday. So fast forward to 2022.
And some people say if you want it done properly, you'll give it to a female and she'll organize it like that. Huh? But in terms of looking at the region, what is the certificate of registration as a CARICOM service provider, and how does the Coalition of Services Industry help to facilitate that?
Well, that's an excellent question, because originally that responsibility was housed with the CSIs. There has been a delay, meaning that the last time that the TTCSI did this was back in 2010. And interestingly enough, it's back on the cards again, given the changes that have taken place and the need to make this a digital process. So we are in discussions with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and not just TTCSI, but it's happening throughout the region with the CARICOM Secretariat to see how we could get this back activated, and the role and responsibility fall on the CSIs in the respective countries.
And you said fast forward 16 years. The fact that there's this body advocating, looking to help build the capacity, what are some of the differences that you see in the 16 years? What are some of the milestones, some of the things that said because of TTCSI, or the services industry or the services sector is in a better place?
So the Coalition of Services Industries, we realized early o'clock that we need to have our value proposition has to be different from a chamber of commerce, because on the part of a number of chambers, local chambers, I mean, the Trinidad and Tobago Chamber was the first member of the TTCSI, as well as the Energy Chamber. So our value proposition has to be extremely different from that of a chamber of commerce, and we need to offer services that are value added to the members of these chambers as well as associations. Because what I feel to let you know is that firms cannot join a CSI. It's only services associations. So roughly we represent more than 60 associations and chambers of commerce in Trinidad and Tobago. So what difference could we offer to these associations and chambers of commerce? And that is statistical data. That is just one of the areas, because it's a challenge to get real-time trade in services data across the board. It's not just Trinidad and Tobago, it's a regional issue, it's a global issue. And once you have data, you would be able to measure the impact of services. It said what's get measured, get done. So in 2019, TCSI, this is a project that was on the drawing board for over a decade. That is to develop a national services registry and portal. And this is a little bit different. We attempted to do something different from the normal portals and registries that you see around. Because I saw recently where somebody pointed out that there are roughly 40 portals and marketplace listed in Trinidad and Tobago. But our portal is different in the sense that it is good. We attempted to do a national services exporters survey back in 2020. So the information from this survey, whereby we surveyed potential and existing exporters, was that we tabulated this this information to guide policy, and this information is loaded onto our portal so that we could better advocate on behalf of these subsectors. And emerging out of this survey, we realized what were the subsectors within services that has the capacity to export. And we saw that 8 subsectors were shining. And those subsectors were business and events tourism, business and professional services that represents a wide gambit of professionals, energy services, education services, ICT, cultural and creative industries, and I'm forgetting one. Yes, I think I covered that. So those were the subsectors within services that we have a potential. So it's now for us to drill down deeper and determine what type of policies, incentives should we provide for these firms and service providers to ensure that they go global. So I said 2020, we did this survey just before the pandemic hit. So we need to find out what has happened to these firms during post-pandemic. So we conducted another survey this year. And this time around, we have doubled participation rate. And again, in this country, people will ask that there are low participation rates to the completion of surveys. CSO will tell you that. But we have I think we have found the formula at the TTCSI, because all our surveys are done electronically. There are no paper-based surveys. And more importantly, we have stressed the importance of what's in it for you, meaning at the firm level. The persons who complete the survey, they must realize what is the benefit of completing the survey. And the results are shared with them. So again, I'm saying what's in it for you. So out of this survey, we realize that, you know what? These existing and potential service exporters, there's an issue in terms of education, coaching to go global. Hence the reason why we introduced and we customized accelerator program strictly for services, and that's called the Gateway to Trade program, which you have heard so much about.
And just before you start to speak about that program, I want us to take a short break so that I don't have to ask you to truncate your answer. So we start to talk about that program on the other side. We're speaking with the CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries, Ms. Vashti Guyadeen. Stay with us. We'll return with more. Welcome back. We are speaking about all things TTCSI, the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries. And just before we took the break, there was a program that you were starting to speak about. So please Give us that idea. Was that the gateway to trade?
Yes, it's called Gateway to Trade TNT or Gateway to Trade TTCSI. And I really have to thank the Ministry of Trade and Industry as well as our partners, Exim Bank and Export TT, because we could not have done what we have done with Gateway to Trade without our partners on board. So Gateway to Trade, it's an export accelerator program. It's not a 1 week or 1 month program. It's a full 9-month, 12-month, fully immersive program where we launched it September 3rd of last year. So we advertised it. Firms had to apply for the program. The idea was to get 80 firms on board. We got roughly 171 applications, and this is a first off, so 171 applications was excellent. So we started off with the 80 firms. When we held an orientation to outline what are the time, efforts, and resources that you have to devote to this program, we had 4 withdrawals. So phase 1 started off with 76 firms. And again, it's not everybody is going to graduate onto phase 3, which is market connections. You have to do your homework. You have to put time and resources into this program. Out of the 76, 43 went on to phase 2, which is refinement of their export plans. The intention was to have 40, but the firms participated so well that we had to increase it to 43 firms. And the final phase, which is market connections, would demonstrate the most export-ready firms. Out of this program, we had 22 firms from 4 sectors. So we concentrated on not just 8 sectors. We said, let's concentrate on 4 sectors as we saw this as a pilot project. And the sectors we concentrated was business and events tourism, business and professional services, ICT, and energy services. So the 22 firms came from that sector. And we are at that stage where we are now connecting those firms to buyers. So you may have seen in the news where 6 energy firms went to the Guyana Basin Summit. That was the intention, to connect those firms to buyers in Guyana and Suriname. And we did just that. Later on this year, we are planning much more trade missions, again, with the assistance of Export TT, because they have the competency and the capacity to do that. And we are planning to do a number of trade missions in the priority markets that have been outlined by the participants.
And I think that is something that also goes back to the importance of having real-time data that you can work from and that you can work with, that can influence the actions that you're taking. Because it's one thing to say, okay, well, in the past, there's been a demand in this services industry or this area of the services industry, but looking and saying, okay, well, this is what the demand is now, and being able to help the persons in your care penetrate some of those markets, I think is really great. Because many times you have people with a piece of paper, or you build a piece of competency, but then they still can't get that foot in the door, and that's all they need before they're able to do what it is they're doing for themselves. But just give me the difference between the export acceleration and export refinement, please. What's the nuance? What's the distinction?
Okay, so export acceleration, we talk about, that's a complete program. So they have accelerated, meaning to gain market access into the priority markets. The refinement is of these, I speak of the export plan. So phase 1, early o'clock, the concentration was on development of this export plan, which in essence is a work in progress. So you do not ever complete your export plan because it always has to be refined.
In terms of and making sure that you're lean and agile as well. But one thing I really wanted to ask you about as well is the Go Global TT Services campaign. What is that campaign? And I heard there's some pillars with it as well.
Yes. So all of these projects that I talk about falls under umbrella campaign of Go Global TT Services. So we have the foundation block of Go Global TT Services is Services Go Global. This is a training program that was developed through EU funding and has been the Caribbean export has been executed. Services Go Global. And so roughly in 2018, our attempt was to build a cadre of services exporters. And the way to doing this is to educate existing services providers and exporters about what it means to go global. Because I'll tell you that most service providers and exporters, when I started off, they did not realize that they can sell their services globally. Because when you think about selling globally or even regionally, you think about you need to produce a product. You must have a good rather than a service. So it takes a lot of education as well as developing that exporter's mindset. That is a critical element, because to build a service provider it takes really a community, because you have to speak about certification standards, and it has become easier now to sell your service regionally, because with technology you become automatically, if you have the right service, you can become an exporter. So that the foundation block is Services Go Global. Then we have National Services Exporters Survey. The aim and objective is to do this on a biannual basis so that we can track the performance of firms, again, using that data, which is housed in the exporters portal. And if you go on our website now, you will see that we have roughly 450 firms listed on the portal. All of these firms, the majority of these firms are exporters, and it's organized by categories. So if you're looking for an accountant, you could go on this website now on the portal, and you can see how much accountants, how much architects we have in Trinidad and Tobago. And then we have the Gateway to Trade, which is the Export Accelerator. So you need to have some kind of motivator. If we are pushing this strong, robust Go Global drive, and the motivator is that the annual Caribbean Lawrence Placide Award, which we are going into the 4th year of awarding this award. And it was named after the first president of the TTCSI, who was indeed a Caribbean man. He was the chief negotiator on all of the trade agreements on the services side. And he was well respected in terms of services. And he passed away.
And in terms of that motivator, and you talk about the annual Caribbean Lawrence Placide Award, what about the individuals who are motivated to become a little more engaged with the community? So they want to be a member, they want to get information. What is membership information like? What is contact information like for the TTCSI?
So you can go onto our website, because if we are pushing a global drive, we need to also push a digital drive. So a membership form is available on our website. And again, as I stated, it's for associations. We also have a category of affiliate members. So companies can join as an affiliate. And that's available again on our website. So it's www.ttcsi.org. You can send an email to ceo@ttcsi.org or operations@ttcsi.org. Our phone number is 622-9229. All the information is again available on the website.
All right, so we want to thank you so much, Vashti Guyadeen, CEO of the Trinidad and Tobago Coalition of Services Industries. And I think apart from just the information, being able to build the capacity, just that basic level of knowing that service providers are not an island other people are going through, a lot of the same experiences, I think is so crucial at this point in time. So once again, we want to thank you for the work that you as well as the umbrella body is doing. And on behalf of the entire TTT News team, I'm Dike Rostant. This has been In Depth. Thank you so much for joining us.